Welcome to the Clear Skies Retirement Podcast with Jay Kirkwood of Secure Financial Management. My name is Randy Cook, and as you listen to the show today, you wonder what this is all about. Well, what this is all about is this. There's going to come a time in your life where you're going to walk away from your job, that 9 to 5, that cubicle, whatever it is. You're going to hang up your cleats, and the money that they brought in from your employer is now going to be the money that you're going to use in your retirement. How does that work? Suddenly, you're giving up your paycheck, but you're developing a new one that you have been saving for. And that's what retirement is all about, but it takes a little planning. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Randy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm enjoying my summer, and here we are halfway through the year. As a matter of fact, I think that we can kind of roll this first story that we have here as far as planning into what do you do mid-year? You know, here we are mid-year. Should we have a checkup? Right now, as we look at 2024, they're calling it peak 65. Why is that? There's over 4 million baby boomers that are going to turn 65 this year and the next couple of years. So this age group is aging into retirement right now. And so this might be the first time that you actually look at yourself and say, you know, I wonder if I'm ready financially. So if you were to put together a checklist of things that people could say, okay, I got that, I don't have that, what would that be, Jay?
This is the first thing I always talk to people about. We can deal with the monetary side of it, right? Mm-hmm. Are you really ready to retire? Do you want to retire, right? Okay. We have people that come in and it is very clear after talking to them for about 10 seconds that they are ready to retire. They're ready to move on, right?
Okay.
And more often than not, that is the case for most people, right? Like, retire? Yeah, I'm ready now. I was ready 10 years ago, right?
Can't stand one more day in that office.
But there's some people that we talk to, and I just, as we're talking for a little while, I'm just like, you don't sound like you're ready to retire, man. And it's like, yeah, I'm kind of not, right? I'm getting there, but just I'm not. Or I don't want to stop working. I just want to stop doing what I'm doing, right? So have a plan. Like, are you ready to retire? Are you okay to stop doing what you're doing right now? Do you want to not do anything? Do you want to find something that you can do 20 hours a week? We need to know that. The second thing is, once we know that, we need to know, do we have the finances to support whatever that option is? Well, if you're going to keep working, no big deal. Let's make sure that you're ready for when that time comes that you want to stop working, but we don't have any big things to plan out right then. However, you want to stop working, or maybe we're going to go down to a part-time sort of thing, something a little bit more enjoyable. I had a guy I was talking to the other day. He's like, I'm at Home Depot all the time. I may as well just work there. I'd love it. I'd enjoy it, right? I was like, great, man. That's what, that's the key is like, if it's something, it's that old saying, if it's something you enjoy, well, then you're never working, right? So that's what he was looking for. But he's not going to be making at Home Depot the $250,000 he's making at his corporate job right now.
Right.
So we got to supplement it, right? Do we have the resources financially to make that option happen?
So when you look at that checklist, I mean, you can drill down a little bit more and get a little more granular with it. And like we've mentioned in the past that, that people are turning 65. The first question they have is, do I have this Medicare thing? Do I know what I'm supposed to do there? That's got to be one of the boxes that you check off. I mean, in our case, in our family, we're still going to be working past 65, but we still got to sign up for this thing. So I got to figure that out. So that's another box I got to check off. And then there's the Social Security box. So there's the income and the taxes and the estate planning and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of us walk into your office and probably don't have all that stuff nailed down yet.
Or any.
Yeah.
Right. Or any. Right.
And that's why we come to you. Help me with this.
So you're right, Randy. We talked a little while ago about kind of what should you be expecting from the person that you work with, right? It should be an encompassing view of everything that's going to be impacting your financial life. Social Security, yeah, that's going to make up some of your guaranteed income. Medicare is one of the few times that I find people are happy to be getting older, right?
Yeah.
Usually you wouldn't be like, oh man, it's coming up. I'm 65 next year. Why? Well, kind of a lot of my health insurance problems get resolved at that point, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of nuances with that. If you're still working, do you sign up for it? Do you not? Do you need the Part B? Is your employer going to cover that? Do I get an Advantage plan? Do I get a supplement? Do I get a Part D? Do I take my Social Security at 62? Well, are you still working or not? If you're working, probably not. Do I wait till full retirement age? Well, what about 70? You know, is it worth getting those delayed credits? Should I take my pension? Should I take a lump sum from my pension? Do I draw from my pre-tax side of my 401k? Do I draw from my Roth? Hey, I just had my first grandchild born. I'd like to try and get them started for their education. The list is endless. Right.
So there's a lot to think through, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that people will come to see you and say, you know, I've saved pretty well. You know, I think I've got enough money to retire, but there's all these other details here about, you know, where do I take the money from? And I don't want to make a mistake from a tax standpoint. I don't want to miss a law. There seems to be all these laws on retirement are changing every single year, and we may have another administration coming in, and they're going to have a different idea. So trying to keep up with everything through a 20, 25, 30-year retirement, that's not so easy either, is it?
It's really not, because what we say to people is when we get the plan set up and we say, okay, this is, with some conservative assumptions that we're using, this is what your retirement looks like, okay? And the next thing out of our mouth is, this is not how it's going to happen, right? Because it's just not.
Something's going to happen. Yeah.
You've got to use some assumptions. You've got to use, you know, we use an incredibly conservative, I think, metric for return on investments. We just use 5%, right? And we deliberately use that because we're like, hey, look, if we can make it work at 5%, we should do better over the long run, but we know we can make it work even at 5%, right? We build an inflation figure in there, and we build a fairly high inflation figure in for the decades that people are going to live. We shouldn't have, you know, a really significant inflation for multiple decades, but we've planned that out, right? What's going to happen there? Look, if we're dealing with a couple, we plan out to age 95. I got bad news for you, man. Both of you probably aren't making it to 95. Right? You're probably just not. We've got to deal with that when it comes up, right? Are the tax laws going to change? Are the required distribution laws going to change? In 20 to 30 years, which is what retirements may last, I bet they will.
Yeah.
Right? Our rules around Medicare and how much you can earn before you start paying a surcharge, are they going to change? I bet they will. Right? Is there going to be a dynamic shift in the stock market from what everybody has been used to for the last 10, 20, 30 years? Probably.
Yeah.
Why? Because we've got this huge cohort called the baby boomers that are the biggest generation that's ever existed, and they control an incredible percentage of the wealth, a lot of that in 401ks and retirement plans, that have been investing in the market and benefiting from that growth. Probably over the next 10, 20, 30 years, they start to de-risk. So is the stock market performance going to be like it was the last 20, 30 years? Let's see.
Yeah.
It's a possibility that it's not.
Yeah. You take all these people taking money out instead of putting money in. That's got to change something.
Exactly.
And let me ask this question. You know, we've come up with a little list here. You know, are you ready with Medicare, income, Social Security, taxes, and estate planning? As you sit down with people and go through this list of things that they have to take care of, is there a moment where somebody looks at you and they kind of get wide-eyed and go, gosh, I never thought of that one? What is usually the surprise there that there is something they never thought of?
It can be on several ends, right? This is one we see come up a lot. And I will say this is a wonderful problem to have, okay? But we'll have people that they're retiring, and it's a couple, and they've done a wonderful job with their savings, okay? And they're going to have a nice retirement, but they're not extravagant people either, right? So they're really not going to be dipping into their what we call principal, which is like their initial investment. We've got 1.5 million in a 401k each. That's 3 million together, and they're going to be living off 50, 60,000 from that plus their Social Security, and they're just like, hey, this is comfortable. We don't need any, and you know, if we can help out our kids and leave something to them or grandkids or whatever it is, right? Essentially, they're not going to be taking significant distributions from their retirement accounts. And we do the planning for them, and we're like, this is your big area of opportunity. We don't like to say a problem. This is your area of opportunity, okay? And it's huge, high six-figure RMDs, required minimum distributions, that they're going to have to start taking at 75.
Wow.
And we say, if you're going to have a problem, this is the problem to have. Because the way you don't have that problem is you have no money. So you don't have the problem, right? I'd rather have the problem and have the money, right? And we say, all right, this is your area of opportunity. And they're just like, are you serious? This is what it's going to look like. It's like, with these conservative metrics, yeah, it is. And you know what that's going to cause? Let's just say it's a $600,000 required distribution. As far as the IRS is going to be concerned this year, you made $600,000. Yeah. And guess which tax bracket you're going to fall into? The $600,000 tax bracket. Let's do some planning around that now. Let's get ahead of it. Let's not let this problem go unchecked so that 15 years from now we have no options. Let's start working on it now.
Such a great point. We admire people who come in and say, I've saved $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million in a 401k, but that comes with a price because that money was all put away before it was taxed. And then Absolutely. Uncle Sam says at a certain point, we have got to take that money. And Jay, when you start taking $50, $60, $80, $100,000 out, that makes a problem with your Medicare premiums, and it could mean that your Social Security gets taxed, and there's all sorts of difficulties that go along with that.
Yeah, it can. You know, the big incorrect myth, I understand why people think this. They think Social Security is not taxable. It's not taxable income. Well, why would I think that? Well, because I was already taxed on it going in, right? So talk about double dipping, right?
Yep.
But you know what? Some of it is definitely going to be taxed. And to your point, it could be a higher amount depending on what your income in retirement is.
Yep. These are some of the wide-eyed moments that happen, and can we steer our way around some of these things with some good planning? Well, the only way to know is to sit down with Jay and the team at Secure Financial Management and find out. Do the math on your retirement, as we say. Let's put pen to paper here. Give us a look on our website, clearskiesretirement.com. That's clearskiesretirement.com. There you can schedule an appointment or learn more about Jay and the team at Secure Financial Management. Again, that's clearskiesretirement.com. If you enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more, you can have it delivered straight to your favorite podcast platform by hitting that like, follow, or subscribe button. Again, thanks for listening to the Clear Skies Retirement Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through investment advisory representatives at Secure Financial Management, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed are not designed nor intended to be applicable to any person's individual circumstances. It should not be considered as investment advice, nor does it constitute a recommendation that anyone engage in or refrain from a particular course of action. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Secure Financial Management is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Secure Financial Management is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Wholesalers Insurance. Jamin J. Kirkwood, Texas Insurance License number 1421850.